everyone. I am Fred Oakman here with Mr. Jake Peters. You're listening to PS This Is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast. This is episode 362, where we dive into our thoughts on all things PlayStation. Before we jump in, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/PS This Is Awesome, where you can watch the video version of the podcast if you want. And you can also check out our trophy lists on the PlayStation Network. I am Anchorless_81, and that there is JakeSaw01. And you can send your thoughts to psthisisawesome@gmail.com. Share the show with your friends. Don't forget to rate us. And for $1 a month on Patreon, you can join the one and only $1 Club and receive a die-cut vinyl sticker in the mail. It looks just like this right here. And we'll give you a shout-out on the show as well. So that is 25 cents a week, and you can support this beautiful, beautiful podcast that we have. And if you'd like to get it for a friend, you can do that. You can go to patreon.com/psthisisawesome/gift, which will also include a free sticker and a shout-out. And you can gift the show for 25 cents a month. Support us, and then that includes maybe early access to some of the podcasts we do. Not always, but a lot of times it can happen a day or two early. Remember, if you like our podcast, it does us a lot of good if you can like, comment, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. I've been posting more YouTube shorts this past week, and we have some listener feedback to some of that shit. And we had a show topic last week. We don't have a show topic this week. If you liked the show topic, let me know. Let Jake know. Write in. Tell us you want us to pick a topic, and maybe we can have some interesting conversation outside of just going over the news once in a while. With that out of the way, Jake, how are you doing?
Pretty good. I am... my house is weird because... So I'm a little bit chilly right now, but my house is weird because it actually is a lot warmer today than it has been in a week or so. It was like almost 30 degrees out today. But my house is weird where like, and I don't know if your house is like this, but on the second floor, we don't have as much forced air ducting that goes upstairs for our central heat and our central air. So what ends up happening is that, and because of the way that our house is kind of blocked off with the air lines, the air ducts and everything, when it's really cold outside, it's nice and toasty upstairs because the furnace is running all the time.
Okay.
But when it's cold but not that cold like it is today where it's 30 degrees outside, the downstairs where the thermostat is stays pretty decently warm throughout the day.
Right.
And the furnace doesn't run as much. So it actually gets pretty cold upstairs.
You just need to move the thermostat upstairs.
I could, but then it'd be hot as fuck downstairs. It's not like a huge deal. It's just that it's just this one room that I'm in because it's weird. There's a duct that goes up from the basement to the second story, and the room that I'm in shares a wall with our bedroom, and there's one duct that comes up and a vent that opens up to both rooms. So it's literally, if I have both vents open, I can see through the wall to my other room. So if I have this room's vent open, the bedroom doesn't stay as warm at night. And if I do it the reverse, I can warm this room up. So because I'm only in this room usually once or twice a week, like when they're doing the podcast and stuff. So I just leave the vent closed in this room so that I can just force all that air into our bedroom. And yeah, so it's a smidge chilly. I got my lap blanket like I'm some sort of fucking geezer. But other than that, dude, it was beautiful. I don't know about your drive home, but my drive home was beautiful. It was like clear with some wisps of clouds and just a beautiful sunset coming home. It's got me really kind of hankering for
some sun,
summer evenings, and some warmth and stuff like that. I don't feel like I have the winter blues as much this year as I have been in the years past, and I honestly think the fact that it's been cold and consistently snowy has helped. It's like in this, whenever you have a winter where it's like just dreary and freaking raining and still cold and like I think that's really what gets me. But like this year, I haven't. Don't get me wrong. I'm still feeling it a little bit. Still can't wait for the sun in the summer. But yeah, I don't know. I just need the snow to go away so I can get my roof worked on. But other than that, I mean, doing pretty good. I ran into you at Walmart on Friday, and I was buying. So Fridays, a lot of times Sarah will go hang out with Seth, your brother, and so I'll have to like make myself dinner.
Yeah.
And we have a very rigid meal plan throughout the week because Sarah has like this, like she does this meal plan service that like helps with, keeping track of calories and all this kind of stuff. And then the food's all amazing. It's all really good, but it's a very rigid schedule. So I can never just eat random shit during the week. So when she goes and hangs out with Seth, I always will like try to make something just for me. And this past Friday, I made steak burritos, but I tried to make them like Tex-Mex style. So I got like the sour cream and the rice and the corn and the black beans and the steak that I sauteed and the salsa and the cheese and the lettuce. And I got the big ass freaking tortillas. And I just finished that up today at lunch.
You know what's crazy?
Man, it was really good.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. And I what listeners probably don't know about me is I love to fucking cook. I love to bake. I like to bake cookies from scratch. I love doing all that shit, man. I love making vegetarian, vegan meals. But dude, like what you're talking about can be ridiculously expensive to buy all of that shit for one fucking meal like that.
You got to buy all the individual ingredients. It's really annoying.
Because you don't have them at the house, and you're like, well, I want this thing. And it's like, okay, sour cream, $4. Cheese, $6. Shells, $4. And it's like steak or whatever the fuck you paid. And then, whatever, the peppers, onions. And then it's like, you're fucking like $35 in just to have yourself a meal. But then you're eating leftovers for like, who knows. You have all the ingredients to make this one very specific thing that you just end up eating for fucking ever.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
I think I got 3 burritos out of it. But I was like, but they were massive burritos. Right, but I was thinking about this today because I'm a salsa fan. I don't know if you're a salsa fan.
Yeah, I like salsas.
But I was thinking about maybe trying to make it myself.
I've done that.
Have you ever made salsa?
Yeah. I grew a ton of aromas out back. And this was like a couple years ago. And then I made salsa, but it's equally kind of dangerous because you got to make sure the pH level is right. Because I canned it. I did canned salsa.
Oh.
And with tomatoes and stuff, it's kind of like risky business. You gotta, and especially if you're including onions and stuff, because onions can like,
canning anything, you run the risk of like botulism and shit if you don't do it right.
Dude, I don't know if anyone's like, botulism cases are so fucking rare, but it can happen. I know. And it's like a neurotoxin, and it like fucking kills you in like a day or two. And it's like, wow. I had this canned salsa for forever. And I tried to follow they say don't ever just make your own concoction and can it. Like follow like a very specific
recipe.
Like the bell jars or the ball jars, whatever. Go to their site, use what they say, use the right amount of lemon juice or whatever, because that's the thing that keeps it balanced. So I bought these pH strips, and I was like trying to make sure the pH was right in my mix and stuff. And I was like, man, this is just too much fucking work. So fridge salsa is the way to go.
That's kind of what I was thinking, is just making small batches that I could just put in the fridge. And because, dude, I'll open a jar of salsa and I'll eat it in like 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, because it's just, I mean,
it's so good.
If you get a good one, right?
Refreshing.
So I don't know. I've obviously been buying it, but my mom's been making it the past couple years because they have a garden and she's always growing like hot peppers and stuff. And she has all the tackle box full of shit for like processing tomatoes and all that, where like the grinder and all that crap. And she makes some pretty good stuff. But I've been thinking about like salsa's got to be one of those things you can almost customize infinitely.
Yeah.
And like, I kind of want to just try making something weird. I don't know.
Some cranberry salsa or some shit, or like.
Yeah, anything. I don't know. Like there's some really cool stuff out there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Just kind of like a side thought. But yeah, I do really like cooking from time to time. And honestly, for me, it's like I love the cooking. I just don't like the cleaning up part.
Yeah. I try to do it as I cook. Like, okay, I'm done with this thing.
I do too.
You know.
But it's tough. Like some of these meals you make, though, you got to have like 5 different fucking pots on the stove, and like, it's annoying as shit. But yeah, that was a huge digression. But I'm doing good.
It was a good digression. Good. Yeah, cool. We finished the first custom quest I made for Hero Quest on Sunday, and it went really smooth. The guys had a good time playing, and so we're through the Witch Lord. We're doing the Crimson Curse, which is a pull from Darkest Dungeon, but the story's all original. But they're having a blast, and what else is going on here? The One Of My Land record, our second record, which was originally released in 2016. It's titled Nobody Wants to Leave. This dude named Greg, who got all of us into punk rock in an ancillary way, he was just booking these shows at the local VFW hall, or it was actually a township building, and we were kids, we found our way there. And he had his own little zine, and he would release bands' records back in, we're talking like 91, 90, even earlier. So, geez, 40 years ago now? No, 30-some years ago. So, anyways, he has this record label called Chumpire. And before, I think I've talked about it before in the show, it's just like, not his record label per se, but like, not realizing that, like, oh, you can write songs. Oh, you can be in a fucking band. Oh, you're like almost my age and you're doing this shit and it sounds good. This is cool as shit, you know? Like, you don't got to fit into the box, all the different cliques at school. Like, you can just be your own thing. It was like before Green Day was big. So he was booking these shows, and he had these bands from all over Pennsylvania and even further come through. Like, we've played with, there's a band called American Steel from California. They're really big. They used to be huge. Well, they used to be small, then they kind of got big. They played the F.I.S.T. We've had, like, Braid has come through Meadville. Ann Beretta, Dillinger Force played Meadville. I think they were on Fat Records for a while. Geez, who else? Cap'n Jazz, I think. There were some other bands. The guy that plays with American Football, his band came through once. With Juliana Theories played here. Punchline, My Chemical Romance, those bands, when that stuff started getting bigger, came through. Piebald, The Movie Life, all these bands played this fucking area. So it was a very prominent scene in northwestern PA. Weston, Digger, Plow United. This list just goes on. Needless to say, I'd never had a record put out by Chumpire. And Greg, you know, I don't know that the music I made was really in his wheelhouse per se, and that's fine. But he always would book us, and he'd have us play and stuff. I think he's a little more eccentric in his taste, you know, a little more off the beaten path. But all of the One of My Land records have been put out on vinyl, with the exception of our second record, Nobody Wants to Leave. And Greg offered to put it out on vinyl, which was awesome. So now I have a full circle moment where now I have One of My Land's Nobody Wants to Leave available on vinyl now. And it's up for pre-order, and we got it remastered. And it's the best it's ever sounded. And that's not lip service. That's not me trying to sell anything. It actually sounds fucking awesome. And it's available for pre-order on the band's Bandcamp site. You can pre-order the vinyl. And there's 100 copies. That's it. And we're hoping to smoke through them pretty quick. We'll see how it goes. But they got delivered to Troy's house today. And that's exciting. Nice. It was like a 50-some day turnaround on vinyl, which is like unheard of in the music business. Like when you order a record... And they came from France. They were in France 4 days ago, and now they're at Troy's house. Like, it's faster than most of my Amazon orders. Yeah, it's fucking rad. Somebody's doing good work somewhere. But anyways, stoked for that. So tomorrow after work, I'm gonna pop over to Troy's and get myself my copy. And we got a couple cool things up our sleeves. We're gonna re-sleeve them actually, and then we're gonna put a lyric sheet in there that we had made, and then I bought one of those embossers for pages for books that you just like stamp down and it leaves an imprint. Yeah, you know. But I bought like the little Oprah's Book Award silver labels, you know. That like,
yeah.
And so we're gonna stamp those, and it just says "Brought to you by One of My Land." And it has a crow on it, and we're gonna put a little panache on those records. because
Nice.
it's a great record and it's deserving of a vinyl release. So I think it's oneifbyland.bandcamp.com if anybody's interested. They're going to sell for $20 plus shipping. But so that's like the exciting stuff in my life right now. But we can quit talking about that and move into games we're playing. And as you guys know, I've been trying to get through Final Fantasy XVI, and I told you I was going to get through this shit. And Jake, it's funny because I saw you at Walmart when you were picking up your food for your steak whatever thing. And I told you I'm going to go home and beat Final Fantasy. And you said do it. And I'm gonna fucking do it. And I did it. And I beat it. I beat Final Fantasy XVI. It felt good. I'm going to be honest with the listeners. I did not give two shits about any of the side quests once I came back into this game recently. I didn't play a single one. Except for one. I played one. There's one towards the end that you almost can't miss. And it's like this story where this guy has his ashes and he wants you to go up to his parents' grave or something. It was on the beaten path. I just mainlined the story. And I got to admit, the game's cool. And I understand why you think about it. Like, there's something about the presentation that's nice. But at the same time, like, it really didn't do a whole lot for me. It's weird. It's like a game that, like, could have been so much more, but wasn't, but still was enough. But it's weird. It's really weird. Like, I wasn't dissatisfied, but I wasn't... The doors weren't blown back over here, you know? But it was good. I'm glad it's off my list. I've deleted it already. And I know I told the listeners I was going to get back into the Metro Awakening and beat the last two chapters. And I got to have daylight to play that game. I can't do it at night. It's kind of creepy to begin with. And like I'm tired by the end of the day. So maybe this weekend, maybe Saturday. We're recording this on Monday. Maybe on Saturday I'll jump into Metro, but in the meantime, I always had this game on my bucket list, F.I.S.T, Forged in Shadow Torch. So I downloaded it because it's free for, there's Essentials and Extra and then Premium Extra. I gotta admit, man, it's cool as shit. I put it on easy and I'm playing it, and I just love, it's a platformer with a lot of voiceover work. And you play like this rabbit, and you're going to rescue a friend. But the graphics are great, and it's easy so far. I put it on easy. Don't get me wrong. It's probably harder on regular mode, but I'm enjoying it. And it's kind of Metroidvania, but it's not right now at the point where like you're gonna fucking get lost, not knowing where to go. It's very still linear for being a Metroidvania, which is cool about this game. So I do recommend it as maybe a little bit of a palate cleanser for anybody who's trying to do a platformer before the next AAA title, or you're just trying to look for something kind of lighthearted but also has some good gameplay. This F.I.S.T game is if you're an Essential or a Extra member, you can download it and play it. F.I.S.T, like an acronym. So that's what I'm into right now, but that's really it. But I had a tough time beating the last boss in 16 at first, and I got him. Jake, what about you?
So let's see. I don't remember where we left off last week, but
Trepang too.
I was playing
you beat
the
Trepang
Messenger.
too?
I beat Trepang. I was playing the Messenger. I got to like the halfway point in the Messenger, and then I was getting a little bit tired of just like beating my head against the wall with a particular boss that I was on. So I've been reading a lot about the new Kingdom Come Deliverance game.
Yeah.
Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And a lot of people seem to love it. And then I remembered that I bought the original. Actually, I kickstarted the original whenever it came out.
Yeah.
And I remember I played it when it came out, and I was just kind of like, I don't know, it's pretty jank, and like it didn't run too good, and so. But then I was reading, they kind of fixed it, like it runs way better now. It's yada yada yada. Mm-hmm. So it's like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna re-download this game, and I'm gonna start playing it again. And so that's what I've been doing. So for the past, I don't know, 3-4 days, I've been playing Kingdom Come Deliverance. My save came in, but I just fucking nixed it.
Restart.
And I started all the way over from scratch because I was like, I don't remember anything about this. Like, this game came out forever ago. And it's cool. I mean, it is very jank. Like, I think the new one, KCD 2, it seems like it's a lot more high quality. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of really neat things about this game that if you have any interest in like history at all, I think you would find something to like here, because everything about this game is historically accurate. Other than obviously like the main character and his like little quest, I don't think that like he's a real character in history. But like all the people you interact with, the event, the regional events that are happening around you, the characters that you interact with, all the towns that you go to, they are all real places in history at this particular time, which is the year 1403 in Bohemia, which is like the Czech Republic. And the like all of the like attire is accurate, the combat is accurate, so it's really difficult. Like the combat's really difficult. You have to like it's like melee combat, but like imagine if you have a sword and you actually have to choose your angle of attack so that you can like properly either parry or get an attack in on your opponent based on the way that he is holding his sword. So it's like very, very intricate and honestly quite challenging. The bow, like shooting bows, is really hard too because there's no reticle. You just have to literally like tell based on how you're holding it and like the way that the arrow is pointing in the bow, like where it's gonna go, and sort of like judge the arc and everything. And because you're like, it's all stamina based, so you're like wobbling and shit. Like, and obviously you gain levels and stuff and you get better and all this crap. But like, dude, it's basically a survival game. Like, you have to eat. If you like, you can like your shoes can wear out and then like your feet will get injured, which makes it so that you don't walk as fast. And then like if your feet get injured too much, you'll start bleeding and you have to like bandage your foot. And like it sounds crazier than it is. Like, I haven't really had to deal with this a whole lot, but I don't know, like something about it is really, really kind of like, I'll play it for a little bit and the whole time I'm playing, I'm like, man, this feels really janky. Like, the one thing I will admit is that I wish that it felt better to play. Like, it feels a little bit sluggish. Like, it feels sluggish to play.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, it's cool. Like, if you go to have a conversation with someone and you're trying to convince them of something, it's not just like oh, what's my speech stat? It's like, if you are dressed really well, you're much more likely to convince someone of something because they think that you're more noble, more trustworthy.
Like in real life.
Yeah, or like if you've got a lot of like heavy weapons and armor on, they're more likely to be intimidated by you if you choose that path. Like, there's a lot of nuance to the game that I think is really interesting. And there's a codex that is like, it could, like, the codex in this game could literally almost be a history textbook. It's just like there are entries on like, you know, the role of women at the time and like what it was like giving birth and like what people had to eat and what the role of a blacksmith was. And like, there's like all this crazy shit, not to mention just the events and the people. It's like, it teaches you even about like the, like social stuff and society and all this crap. And that's all optional. You don't have to read any of it, but it's there, like, if you're interested.
So it's not a glorification of the medieval days. It's more of an accurate representation.
It's literally like, I honestly, playing this game, I feel like you couldn't do it in high school because it's very violent, but like, you could almost have a college course where you would maybe, as a professor, if you were teaching this period of time, like, recommend that the students play this game as like a sort of like an immersive experience into what it might be like.
Yeah.
Sort of doing like a reenactment or something like that. but it's really interesting. I'm really enjoying it, and I will say that like the one thing that I've always loved about this game is that, and I think it's because they're shooting for realism, is that they nail nature to a degree that I've never seen in any other video game. Like when you're like walking through the woods, it literally like visually gives me the feeling that I would get if I was in Pennsylvania and I like walked into the woods. It's not like computer generated. I mean, I'm sure it is obviously, but like the vibe of it, the feel of it is very natural. And I don't really know how to explain it better than that, other than if you were to just jump into this game and like run through some fields and like wander up into the woods, there's like underbrush and like it has this natural feel to the environment that it's kind of vibing with me right now as far as like being anxious for summer, because it's like summertime kind of in the game. So you're like you walk into the woods and like they have this perfect audio of birds chirping and stuff when you're in the woods, and like it's very.
I don't know if I would like this game.
Why is that?
It just sounds like it's like too real or something.
I mean, it is very. I mean, it is very. There's a lot going on in it, but it does have like a narrative story that's very cinematic. So there is that component of it as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. It's just it is vibing with me right now. So I'm gonna keep playing it and see how that goes. But I'm mostly like kind of in between games right now, so I'm just kind of just playing what I'm vibing with, and this seems to be doing it for me. To be fair, I was going to start Resident Evil 4. I actually took my my headset downstairs or not my headset, my headphones downstairs to charge so I can use them wirelessly, and I took my DualSense controllers downstairs to charge, because I was over the weekend I was going to start Resident Evil, but then I ended up watching Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade instead, because I wanted to like finish the trilogy, because I've been watching those recently, and so I didn't end up doing it. But I think I will jump into that game here soon, maybe this coming weekend. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, good, man. I think that I'm glad that you found something that's whetting your appetite. You know?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are like elements of it because of the jankiness that are very annoying, but like it's you know, it's cool like when you find a game that is just, it's kind of vibing with you instead of just playing something to play something, and you're kind of like, man, you're jumping around and you don't really feel like, you know, I don't know. But yeah, it's cool.
Cool. All right. Well, we're going to jump into some listener feedback. Like I said, I've been posting these shorts, and we're getting a lot of interaction on some of these. The first one, Jake, I think is kind of funny. It's just funny because it seems like maybe One Black Talon knows a thing or two about a thing or two. You were talking last episode about your heat pump or something. And One Black Talon writes in, and he says, Fred, would you ask Jake, the manufacturer of his heat pump, and if he installed it himself? Thank you. Jake, you can speak to this. And it doesn't need to be a long conversation, so just hit it with us.
So no, I did not install it myself. It was professionally installed, and it is like some sub-brand of Train. Most people have heard of like Train HVAC stuff because they're like really popular. But it's like some sub-brand that's made by Train. I don't really remember the specific name of it. I was quoted on a Mitsubishi system that was much nicer and probably would be a lot more efficient and work a lot better, but it was way more expensive. Yeah. So I kind of assumed by now I would have supplemental heat in that room because we actually have a chimney in there. I was gonna put in a pellet stove, but I have to do some work on the chimney, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, that was a little bit of a extended answer, but
all right. Well, there you go.
I did not install it myself.
And then we have a recurring An old listener chimes in. Couldn't help themselves. Big Box is back. And I wonder what happened to these people when they're so interactive, then they kind of fall off, and then they, I'm the same way with podcasts. Sometimes I get really into them, and then I just turn them off, and then I'll come back. But this is on a YouTube short, so I was kind of saying, like, what's the future of PlayStation? That we clipped out a bit from episode 361. And I was saying, like, we need to get back to the single player games and somehow make them viable, make money. And Big Box writes, guys, it can be done. Look at RimWorld, Stardew Valley, No Man's Sky. There are a number of primarily single player games that do well long term. The game just needs to be replayable and get content updates once or twice a year. So that's not a live service game, what he's describing. He's describing a game that gets updates. It's bordering, I'd say, live service, but I do think that it is doable, and I think that's why we brought it up on the show. Is it like these games? No Man's Sky is arguably pretty old. I don't know RimWorld, Stardew Valley. I'm not familiar with that, but I know that these games can exist and they do work.
I would argue that No Man's Sky's popularity and its longevity is because it's a multiplayer game, though. Yes, you can play it by yourself, but since they made it multiplayer, that's when it really blew up and started kind of living its best life, as it were, and getting all these fantastic updates. So while I do agree with you that it was in its infancy, it was solely a single-player game. The fact that it is now a truly multiplayer game.
Well, I think these are also indie games as well. Like they're considered indie games.
Sure.
That was what we were saying.
Stardew Valley. I kind of want to play Stardew Valley. I've heard really great things about it. It's like a Harvest Moon kind of style game. I'm thinking about pitching it to Sarah because I think it might be something that she'd be really into. Yeah. It's just kind of like a management sort of game, but and I'm not familiar with RimWorld, to be honest with you.
I just looked it up. It says it's a construction and management simulation video game. So I don't know anything about it, but people love it. I'm looking at the ratings. People love this game. It's got a 5 on Steam. 5 stars.
Interesting. This is so weird because Reddit,
RimWorld is one of the best games ever. Discussion.
This game must have just passed me by because I don't recognize it at all.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It looks cool. I mean, it looks a little bit too much for me as far as the management stuff goes, but
you're building a sci-fi.
It looks cool. I love these kind of games.
Yeah, it's like SimCity or something. Looks cool. Looks dope. Thanks for writing in, Big Box. Good to hear from you, man. Moving on, I think I was saying that. So on one hand, Big Box says yes, it can be done, and indies are the way to go. You can do it, and you can make money on it. They can be long term. And then Caleb Henderson writes in on YouTube and says, I definitely don't think PlayStation needs more indie games. I just feel like they need to open out to who they work with. And stuff I've seen, games that are indie and shouldn't even have been released. And some PlayStation games that are multiplayer and cross-compatible don't have mod support. Meanwhile, Xbox and PC players do. So I think if I understand your comment, Caleb, is that there's a lot of indie trash everywhere. And I agree. Because you're saying, there's a lot of games that are indie and shouldn't even have been released. 100%. That's the nature of the indie market. But there are a lot of indie developers who are putting out really, really good shit. And, there are, as far as being cross-compatible to Xbox and PC, that's always kind of been the point of picking a console side, right? But it sounds like, in a news story we're getting soon, that Microsoft is going to, lower their flag a little bit. It's not nailed to the mast as the Pirates did because they wouldn't give up. It sounds like they're folding. But Jake, what do you have to say about this comment?
Well, if your assessment is correct, he is definitely right that there is a lot of trash on the store that is released. And I feel like when we're talking about indie games, we're not referring as a blanket statement of everything under $20 or $30 that is released on the PSN. It's like, yes, we're obviously not talking about the fucking jumping bean and the whatever
the game just called baseball that you download and it's literally a Bible verse.
Yeah, or the one that
which
the
was
one
real?
and like all these games that are just like freaking light porn games and stuff. It's like, okay, that stuff aside, I think that they're when we're talking about indies, we're talking about the high quality indies
Puppeteer
that Sony used to push.
Yeah.
Like very specific indies, not like every random Tom, Dick, and Harry indie game that comes to the market, but very specific things. Like think of games that would fit in this category would be something like Shovel Knight, or you're talking about like we talk about Sound Shapes recently, or like Stardew Valley is one that would be a good example of that.
PlayStation got behind, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like any of these games like this, I think would fit in that category. Now, but I do agree with you. In the vast majority of some of these games that come to the PSN are just absolute trash. As far as the multiplayer stuff goes, I do agree that Sony has largely dropped the ball on their implementation of multiplayer stuff in general. I think pretty much everything is cross-play now on Sony's after they broke down with the whole Fortnite thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say everybody. I think a lot of them are cross-play now. A lot of the major ones anyway. But and obviously you've got the whole mod support issue with like Skyrim Special Edition when it came out and all of that. Yeah. And obviously that's a whole can of worms, I will say. I'm not defending Sony on this. I do agree with you here, but a lot of the reasoning behind Sony not wanting stuff like this, like the mod support specifically on their console, is because of, I don't know if you're old enough to remember the PlayStation hack, the network hack of 2011, and how it literally downed the entire PlayStation network for like 60 days or something like that. It was over a month. And
big breach.
It totally fucking ruined like a lot of like games and cost them a bunch of money and totally screwed up their whole security platform. And so like so whenever you're thinking about those types of things, try to keep that as like a kernel in your mind. But I do agree with you, they need to just kind of get over it at this point and start jiving with the times, as it were. Yeah,
so I found a couple more indies that were really supported by Sony that actually will ring a bell. Stray was one. And this is recent.
I mean, that's arguably an indie game, but yeah.
Bugsnax. Tunic. Was that supported by Sony? It was.
It came late.
Outer Wilds.
Yeah.
Goodbye Volcano High had a lot of support from Sony, but it tanked. So there've been some, for sure. But there used to be a lot more. Trust me.
What you really need to look for is like the PS4 like launch window.
I was looking at some of the current ones, some of the more recent ones that Sony did get behind. But yeah, no, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
All right, so we had one more listener feedback talking about. We had a discussion last episode also. What could Sony's future look like? What IP do they need to bring back maybe that we haven't seen for? I said Twisted Metal. We said Resistance. I said, what about Uncharted? You said even Killzone. Marshmallow870 writes in and says, where's Parappa? That's what I'm asking. So,
I guess I don't know where that fits nowadays. It would be cool if they did like a Parappa the Rappa like VR game.
Oh, that'd be so dope. And you had to dance or move your hands or something?
Yeah, where it was like, you had to do all the like the dances and like I don't know how like there's maybe you can use the microphone on like a headset or something to like rap the beat or whatever.
Kick, jump.
Yeah, like that would be kind of cool. It'd almost be like a DDR style, like I don't know, Tai Bo kind of fucking game. Like that would be kind of a neat. We've been talking about sort of VR recently, and it's like something like that would be kind of a cool,
like an aerobics rapper Parappa game.
Yeah, just give like I don't know, give some second party studio like I don't know, $30 million or something, and just say, make a fucking Parappa the Rappa VR 2 game that is just all about exercise and, but like have the rhythm and the rapping and all. Like, I think that would be fucking rad. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. Because imagine if they did because everyone loves Beat Saber, right? Beat Saber's fucking sick. Mm-hmm. But imagine if they had a Parappa the Rappa game, but you could download songs and shit for
That'd
it.
be so
I don't know.
I don't know how that would work, but
I don't know how that would work, but it's kind of an interesting idea.
Well, with AI, you probably could get Parappa's voice to just say whatever the fuck you need him to say. That'd be cool. All right. Anyways, that's it for the listener feedback. Let's get into some news, Jake. Every episode we talk about some news that hit the PlayStation World this past week. We're recording this on Monday, the 27th of January. And we're moving briskly into February, but this last news point was interesting, and I didn't even realize, or this next news point was interesting. I didn't realize that this was even a thing. There's a lot of talk about Ninja Gaiden Rebound. I thought it was Ragebound. Isn't it Ragebound?
It's Ragebound.
Yeah, it says Rebound in my notes. I know I typed Ragebound, probably autocorrect. That was like the NES spiritual successor to the original Nintendo games and the arcade games. But apparently Ninja Gaiden 4 is in the works and about 80% finished. Now, this is the full-on kit and caboodle. I watched some of the gameplay for this game, and I gotta admit...
Now to be clear, this is the fourth iteration of the 3D Ninja Gaiden that was exclusive to Xbox, not the NES Ninja Gaiden 1 through 3.
Right. Yeah, this is different.
The fully 3D Xbox era. Yeah.
But you're still playing Hayabusa, I believe. Ryu or whatever. You're still the same character.
Yeah, he's one of them. I think it's split between him and a rival guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like it's... Yeah, anyway, I'm sorry. Continue.
No, you're fine. It's launching this year on PS5. Now, I will say I watched some of the video of this gameplay. I love ninja shit, but man, this game doesn't look good to me. I would much rather play the Ragebound game. And this might be an example, and I don't know, I think people are excited about Ninja Gaiden 4, but this might be one of the examples that we could parlay back into our previous conversation. This is what we're talking about. Could you imagine if Sony would have backed Ragebound? That'd be cool shit, and it was a Sony exclusive. That'd be fucking huge for Sony. But... I don't know. I'm going to be real curious to see which one of these two games gets the better review and which one of these two games has more love behind from the consumer, from the gamers. Is it going to be Ragebound or is it going to be Ninja Gaiden 4? So I don't know.
My guess is Ninja Gaiden 4 because it's bigger budget, higher quality, better graphics, yada, 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 3D. Modern audiences are going to like it more. What am I more attracted to? The 2D one.
Yeah, same.
For sure. Not to say that Ninja Gaiden 4 doesn't look awesome. It looks fantastic.
Nah, I don't know if it does, but go ahead.
But I don't know that I mean, I could be completely wrong. I might prefer the gameplay of Ninja Gaiden 4, but visually and from a nostalgic perspective, I'm way more excited about Ragebound. But it is interesting when I saw it, because I did watch the developer direct, the Xbox developer direct where this was announced. And when I saw the gameplay, I was like, oh, this is fucking Ninja Gaiden. Just like watching the trailer.
Yeah.
And then they announced it, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then when they were going towards the end, I was like, I wonder if they're going to release this on PlayStation. Because it was those early Ninja Gaiden games were Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, you're not wrong, right?
And then the splash screen came up at the end. It was like, yep, PS5. It said right in the fucking Xbox Direct, PS5 release, along with obviously PC, Game Pass, Xbox, blah blah blah. So it is exciting, and it seems like it's going to be day and date, which is rad, and it's coming this year. Is Ragebound coming this year too? Do you remember?
I thought it was. I want to say it was.
So Ninja Gaiden fans are feasting this year, I guess.
Yeah. Big dogs gotta eat, man.
Big Gaiden Ragebound.
I think it is. Maybe they didn't give a release date. I don't know, but
summer. It says summer 2025 is what I'm seeing here. Yeah. And that, oh, dude, it looks so fun.
Dude, imagine this. Imagine it's summertime. Okay, imagine. Just pretend we're in this fucking winter hellhole right now. Imagine summertime. A thunderstorm outside. It's like fucking 70 degrees, 75 degrees in the evening. You got the window cracked. You hear the crickets chirping. And you're booting up fucking Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. That's just a better life right now than what I'm experiencing. It's just better. Yeah. So I'm excited for this. That's cool. All right. We'll move on. The next news point, and leading into what you were talking about, Jake, with the Microsoft Direct, Spencer, the Xbox guy, Phil Spencer, was doing an interview or was pressed a little bit. I forget where this was, but he indicated that they're not going to put a ring fence around any game now. And he indicated they want the games to be available, but to keep games off other platforms is not the path for Microsoft. So he was asked recently if it was confirmed that Starfield was going to remain, I believe the way it was worded was not exactly this. I'm whatever the word is, paraphrasing. But he was asked if Starfield was going to stay exclusive to Microsoft platforms, and I guess he kind of paused for a little bit, and he was just like, no. And he kind of like let the dog out of the bag, and like, whether it was scripted, whether it wasn't, I don't know. But it sounds like, and then he followed it up with just saying, listen, we're not going to fence our games in anymore. We want them to be available everywhere where people can get them. We want them there. So it sounds like he's being a little more transparent than he has in the past. And this means, we're going to talk in a second about Doom the Dark Ages, but like that is very much probably coming to PS5. We know, and we know it is. Actually, and because it's going to get PS5 Pro support.
Three of the 4 games from the developer Direct are releasing on PlayStation.
Yeah, which is awesome.
So, and South of Midnight, which was the 4th game, I mean, at this point, who's to say it won't come to fucking PlayStation in a year or so anyway?
So Clair Obscur was one of the other ones, I believe.
Yep. Yeah.
So this is interesting news. I don't have a whole lot else to say about this news point, but I wanted the listeners to know that, we're going to have a breadth of access to games that are being published on the Microsoft side of things, which is kind of a happy day for us.
Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. I know this might sound blasphemous maybe for a PlayStation podcast, but I am really excited about some of these fucking Xbox games that are coming to PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that they're getting ready to put out. I mean, and part of this is because Sony hasn't fucking released a gosh darn game in however long now.
A good game. Well, we had Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart and God of War 2 or whatever. Those were both.
But like, I mean, dude, we'll see freaking Indiana Jones on PlayStation this year, which I can already tell you is fantastic. And then all these other games that we're talking about, I mean, they're going to be amazing. And like obviously we've got stuff that we're to be excited about with Ghosts of Yotei and Intergalactic and freaking Wolverine and stuff. But I mean, who fucking knows when any of this shit's coming out?
Yeah, we have no idea.
We don't
know. Sony hasn't said a word, so.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is, man. That's exciting. It's exciting news, and I think we can all rejoice a little bit and cool off a little bit, brush our shoulders off from the scrap with Microsoft, and just say, you know what? Bygones be bygones. We're happy to play your fucking games, and we're happy to get them on PlayStation. So that's cool. So that's good news. It's all good news, and thank you to the Microsoft team for not bogarting their shit anymore. That being said, let's move on to the next news point. And this one is a quick one. This is all the play. Now, I wanted to segue. Well, before we get into this conversation, I thought of a cool idea, Jake, and I don't think it would be a lot to ask of either of us. I really don't think this would be a lot to ask because I don't think there's a whole lot of them. But PlayStation Productions, the movie side of Sony, and PlayStation have been notably putting out. They do have the Twisted Metal series, the Last of Us series. They have Uncharted. They're doing the Until Dawn movie. They did the Gran Turismo movie. What else did they do? They did something else. I know they did one more. I don't know what it was. I want to say they did another one.
What did you say? What did you say? Which ones did you say?
Totally blanked it. Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Uncharted.
Yeah.
Twisted Metal series.
Uh-huh.
That was PlayStation Studios, right? Last of Us.
Uh-huh.
What else did they do?
Until Dawn.
Huh?
They're doing Until Dawn.
Until Dawn, I said that. Yeah, that's 5. I thought there was another.
You said Gran Turismo?
Yeah, that's the first one I said.
Sorry, my fucking brain is just, it's like on half.
Isn't there another PlayStation Studios movie? The listeners are probably just shouting.
Well, I mean, they a while ago they did that Ratchet and Clank movie, but that was before
it was PlayStation Studios
was around.
Well, where I'm going with this is, Jake, my idea was, why don't we, one of our show topics, why don't we just take, it doesn't have to be next week, obviously. Why don't we take the time and watch all of these on our own time?
I've been meaning to watch Gran Turismo. I actually really want to see it.
Yeah, me too. I'd like to rewatch Uncharted also. But what I want to do is, why don't we get all these under our thumb and then have a podcast show topic where we rank the current PlayStation Studios movies in order from our favorite to least favorite and where we think they fall.
You think it's going to be possible? You keep fucking falling asleep during some of these things.
Yeah.
So
What wasn't I able to even do? It might have been Twisted Metal.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't that Twisted Metal?
I don't know what the fuck it was. Yeah, but I think we should do that. PlayStation Studios movies.
It sounds cool. I actually would like to watch all of it. So we just make a list of the ones we want to do. The only one that would be weird. Excuse me. The only one that would be weird for me is Twisted Metal, because I gotta fucking get Paramount Plus.
Yeah,
which
I
really
will
don't wanna
too.
do,
I'd have to do that too.
Get I guess maybe there's probably a trial for it or something I can do just to watch the show. But yeah, I'd watch it. I'm interested.
I want to see what they've done. So they've got Twisted Metal on the website, The Last of Us, Gran Turismo, Uncharted, and then coming soon they have Horizon, God of War, and Ghost of Tsushima.
It's weird they don't have Until Dawn on there.
It's fucking... Is it not a PlayStation Studios movie? I thought it is.
I thought it was too. Until Dawn.
They don't like Until Dawn for whatever fucking reason. When that re-release came out, they didn't even fucking touch it. I'm including it because I want to watch it.
PlayStation Productions, not PlayStation Studios.
Yeah.
It's on the fucking Sony YouTube channel.
Sony Pictures, Until Dawn.
Yeah, it is. It is PlayStation Productions. I just booted up the trailer right now. It has a splash for it.
All
so, weird.
It is. They don't push anything Until Dawn related.
That one might be tough because I don't like going to the movie theater.
Oh, I'm gonna fucking go watch that. You better believe it.
Maybe I'll go with you. Maybe we'll make it a date. I fucking hate the movie theater.
Bet your ass.
It's so expensive, and I feel like it's a worse experience than watching it at home.
Every year I get gift cards from my parents for the local movie theater. It's a really nice gift.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's so nice because I hate fucking spending money at the theater, but I don't mind going once in a while. You know, I kind of like it.
Sure. Yep.
It's a great gift. Anyways.
So did you talk about
no? So where I was going with this is that there's some rumors that apparently PlayStation Productions are going to reboot the Resident Evil movies. I think that's smart. Make them good.
It would be funny if they recast Mila Jovovich. I don't know. They should make it more authentic. Those Resident Evil movies from like the early 2000s are not indicative other than like just like references and names and stuff like that. Like obviously, yeah, they had Umbrella, they had the one guy turn into Nemesis, and they had, I think maybe Wesker was in it, but like they were just like whatever movies, and they just put they just put freaking Resident Evil on it. Like, I want them to make a legit Resident Evil movie.
I think
that's
dude,
like,
yeah. Even if they don't go back to square one, like, couldn't they just do the chapter 1 and chapter 2 of Resident Evil 6 and 7? Isn't that an all-encompassing story of one of the protagonists, really?
You're talking the one with, like, Ethan, whatever the fuck his name is.
Ethan and his girlfriend? 7 and 8, my bad.
They could do... The problem is so, like, it makes sense to start at the beginning, right?
Maybe.
The problem with these games, right? Resident Evil, the first one, you're playing as Jill Valentine, and you're literally just her by herself walking around this mansion for 5 hours. Like, how do you make a movie out of that? Yeah, like, the concept is great, right? So you almost have to fast forward a little bit to something like a Resident Evil 2 or 3, where you've got some other characters and a little more tight-knit of a story. Maybe even like a Resident Evil 5, where you've got... Now, I don't think they could do Resident Evil 5 because it's very racially charged, but like where you have multiple characters together the whole length of the story. Or if you've got something like Resident Evil Village, like you're talking about, a Resident Evil 7, where there's much more interaction with the environment. I don't know. It's tough. I understand why when they did it originally, they had like a group of randos going to the Umbrella facility so that there would be a bunch of them there so that they could interact with each other, and then they each die off like one by one. But like, I don't know. I'm interested to see how this reboot goes. If they're going to go in like a completely random direction, make it like their own story, or if they're actually going to follow the games in any capacity. Because I feel like they probably could just maybe add some more people in to create a little bit more character development. Because it's kind of hard to learn about a character when they're just having a conversation with themselves.
Right.
Or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I don't know. We'll see what they do. But I thought that was worthy of putting on today's show. Let's get into the next news point. And this one's about Doom the Dark Ages, Jake. I know you're really excited about this game. I saw some of the gameplay. They had a really neat approach on this. And the reason I'm bringing it up because it is coming to PS5. And I already mentioned earlier, it is going to have extra support for PS5 Pro. But they were like, okay, the first Doom game, we focused on this. The second one, we focused on verticality. And the third one, we're just focusing on being a tank and just being a fucking like... But like, they were clear to say, but it doesn't mean you're slow. It doesn't mean that you go move slow. You know, but I think that it's interesting, and I like the setting a lot. This game looks dope, dude. It looks ambitious as hell. What do you think about this game?
Dude, I am so pumped about this.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've listened to the podcast, you know I'm a huge Doom fan. And this game, like, I love that every single Doom game, like 2016, Eternal, and now the Dark Ages, they're all different from each other. It's like, yeah, it's all rip and tear. It's all fucking, you know, killing demons and being a badass while you do it. Heavy metal music, yada, yada. But, like, the gameplay styles seem to be very unique in each one. Mm-hmm. And Doom Eternal was very fast, very run and gun. And I am actually really excited that they're kind of slowing it down and making it a little bit more arcadey for the Dark Ages. I love, like, did you watch the gameplay where they're showing, like, all this, like...
The shield saw?
You know, like the chainsaw fucking shield thing. And then they had, like, the enemy projectiles that are, like, very Returnal-esque, where they're, like, coming at you in patterns, and, like, some will, like, turn a different color and you could parry them and launch them back at the enemies.
It looked really
and, like,
cool, man. Frenetic, too, but, like, also manageable.
It looks just even like that melee stuff where, like, one of the melee weapons you have is a flail where you're just, like, crushing enemy skulls with, like, a flail and shit.
Yeah, and they made it, like, dude, they made it clear. They were like, it's all with the same button. Like they have like in some sort of intuitive way to like use these attacks with these other weapons. Like they have it working out.
Maybe you could select what you want to do. Yeah, it seems, and it's they still have guns. Like obviously there's still a lot of guns in it. I love like the optics of like, not the optics, but like the weapons are very like medieval, but also very modern. Like there's like the shotgun still, but then there's like a machine gun, but it like crushes up skulls and like shoots skull fragments. And there's like a spike rifle that like impales enemies. And I don't know. It just looks really, really rad. And then there's from a narrative perspective, what's new with this game that I think is kind of awesome is that they're adding a lot more. It seems like they're going to add a lot more cutscenes and deliver the story through more cutscenes rather than making you read all these codices.
Right.
Which is awesome because obviously gameplay is king in Doom. But if you actually read the codices of 2016 in Doom Eternal, there's actually some pretty deep lore there about the universe and like everything that's going on. And so I'm really anxious to see how that's going to play out from a narrative perspective.
Yeah.
And so I just and it comes out soon too. It's like May fucking 12th or something like that. This is quite honestly probably my most anticipated game of the year for sure. And obviously if Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out this year, that's very exciting for sure. And Ghost of Yotei, obviously, but dude, I love me some Doom for sure.
Right? Yeah, dude. Yeah, it looks cool as shit, man. I'm all in on it.
You never finished Eternal or played it even?
I never even got it. I almost had it. I think
it's on PS Plus Extra.
Yeah,
I think both of them are.
I played
so
the first one,
whatever
whatever the first one was. I can't remember what it was.
Well, then you should just, at one point, just download it when you have a free time and just play Doom Eternal a little bit. It's a good time.
I like that shit, man. I grew up on Doom and Quake and Heretic and Hexen and all those fucking id games. Wolfenstein. I love that shit. It's all good. It's in my blood. I don't tote the banner very often, but I do like to play them. They're a little almost too difficult for me anymore, but I love them. All right, let's go.
They get pretty hardcore, but there are difficulty settings. You can turn it down.
All right. So the next news point.
Oh, did you see? Sorry, I didn't mean. Just one last thing. Did you see that they had all those different difficulty sliders?
Yeah, that was awesome.
So like you can actually adjust like the parry window for the projectiles, how fast the game is, like all these different like it's. I'm really glad to see this happening in games. I hope it happens more often.
Yeah, it was nice. All right, well, let's move into the Assassin's Creed Shadow PS5 story trailer. Jake, I don't know if you watched this, but
no,
they do this all the time with Assassin's Creed games. They look so cool, and then you fucking buy them and you get duped and they're not that good. This trailer looks great, and I guess there's some glowing reviews going on with this game right now. Some people have had some hands-on. They're saying this game's awesome. All I'm going to say, it's like 2 minutes long. It's worth a watch if you haven't seen it. Maybe this is going to be the Assassin's Creed game that brings back the love for the franchise that a lot of people had. It looks awesome. It looks really fucking good. I'm not going to lie. It looks cool as shit. So I'm happy to see that. It didn't look jank or weird. But it was a story trailer. But there was gameplay footage in there. It wasn't just cutscene shit. So it looked good. I should watch it.
It's so funny that you have in the notes, you say Assassin's Creed story trailer released, and then you just say it's 2 minutes long. Like that's like that's like a, I don't know. It's like you're just trying to diss on it or something because it's only 2 minutes long.
No. Like, I know it reads that way. I was like, this is the barrier of entry to watch it. You got to have 2 minutes to watch it.
But you are right. It looks very. I'm kind of scrubbing through it now, and it looks awesome. I'm very curious how this game plays.
Yeah, me too. That's going to be the
because
make or break.
If it plays well, I could see myself being very interested in playing this game. As long as it's not like this 300-hour fucking bloated Valhalla shit. Like if it's just a reasonable amount of open world gameplay, then yeah, I would be definitely interested in checking this out. Whether I'll do it at launch or not is a completely different story, but I am highly intrigued about what is going on.
It looks fucking good. It looks good. All right.
And it seems like the two main characters are working together in some capacity.
Yeah.
So, like, I wonder, do we ever find out, like, do you know if you can switch back and forth, or do you have to, like, choose one and you're just them the whole game?
That I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I'd be curious to find that out, because I could see myself maybe, like, choosing the ninja character at the beginning and then wanting to try out the samurai character, but I don't want to play the whole fucking game all over again.
Yeah, right.
So, like,
right.
I don't know.
Well,
interesting.
Anyways, next news point, we got 3 after this one, and this one's going to be really quick, I promise. Clair Obscur, we talked about it. It was at the Direct that Jake watched. I didn't watch all of the Direct, but we got a release date for this game, and it's going to be April 24th. This game looks fucking cool. It looks really cool, man. I hope it delivers. So I don't think we have to say a whole lot more about it unless you want to say something about it.
No, I think that it looks fantastic. Whether or not I'm going to play it at launch, I'm not entirely sure, just because I don't know, man. I'm good for like one big JRPG a year or two, and I spent so much time with fucking Metaphor that like if this game comes out and they're like, yeah, it's 100 hours, guys, I'm gonna be like, I don't know, but it looks amazing. I'll get to it eventually, unless it comes out and it's bad. But like, whether or not I'll play it at launch is remains to be seen, especially with Doom coming out a couple weeks later.
Right. All right. Well, let's tag into the last 3. There's this game, and they talk about this on pushsquare.com where we get most of our news. Do you remember the old Techno games?
Not I mean, vaguely, but not.
Techno. Yeah. Really. So, anyways, it was like a big thing for me growing up. So they have this new game, this classics thing coming out called Super Technos World, River City and Technos Arcade Classics. It's coming in April. And I was delighted to see the Super Dodgeball is on here. Super Dodgeball was one of the coolest games when I was a kid, man. It was so fun to play. I don't know why. There's just something about Super Dodgeball that was just like so memorable and iconic with the different characters, and you'd play these different teams in dodgeball, and you'd throw these like dodgeballs that sometimes would turn into fire. You knock people off backwards, and you try to catch balls and hit other people. Dude, it was so fun. It was so good. But anyways, this thing's coming out April 24th. It's going to feature a bunch of these techno games. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's a holder, like the game is free and then you have to buy each individual game individually that you want. I don't know if it just features all the games. I don't know what the price point is. I don't know anything about it. But these techno games were so cool, and there was something about the artwork in these games. They would have a lot of the same character art for a lot of the different games, and man, I just know some of these have beat 'em ups too. So there's like this game called Shadow Force, and it's a side game or whatever, I believe, like a platform game where you're like this ninja. Then there was like military, like a game where you played like these military guys, kind of like Bad Dudes or like Contra, but it was, you know, you would go and you'd fight people. There was a lot of beat 'em ups included in this, and this thing just looks cool. But the Super Dodgeball, I'm reading what they say about it right now on the Push Square site. It says the dodgeball game spoken of in legend. This legendary dodgeball game is finally making its worldwide debut. Enjoy a powered-up version of this arcade title, primed to be enjoyed versus style. Input commands to perform special moves and take down the opponent team of 3 to seize victory. You recruit one member from the opponent team upon victory, so form your own dream team as you aim for the championship. At the finish line, you'll uncover the true goal behind the demon of dodgeball organizing the tournament. I think the final battle in Super Dodgeball, you're playing like a devil or something. You have to fight a devil. You have to play a devil. So cool. Such a good game. But there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games with this. I don't know. And they're saying that any critical issues that existed with any of these games have been addressed. So there's no unintended obstacles to complete the games. And it's coming out April 24th. This is fucking cool to me. And it's strangely one of the more exciting things. I don't know what the price point's going to be. But it's going to go on my bucket list to do list. This looks cool as shit to me. I love those fucking techno games. They're so fun.
Yeah, I was scrolling through them, and it looks like right up your alley with all those like beat 'em up games and stuff. It seems like something you'd be into.
Oh man, I see some of them, and I'm like, I remember this game. I remember it. But anyways, 2 more news points, and we'll be done. Red Hook studios behind Darkest Dungeon. Just when you guys thought I was done talking about it, and I thought I was too. There's some DLC that got announced. One was a surprise DLC announcement. So the first DLC for Darkest Dungeon that did release on PC and on Steam is called Inhuman Bondage. It's not a console release yet, but Red Hook did confirm that it is coming to console. They just wouldn't confirm a release date. And this is going to feature the good guy that we know and love, the hero, the Abomination class. And it's also going to feature additional bad guys and more territories to explore in your Darkest Dungeon 2 experience. In addition to this, they released a brand new game mode called Kingdoms. And it is visually a throwback to what Darkest Dungeon 1 was. And they say if you play Kingdoms, you will erase all of your progress in the regular Darkest Dungeon 2 game. But I'm very curious to see what Kingdoms is. And I don't believe Kingdoms is released either. And Kingdoms is a free DLC addition to Darkest Dungeon 2. And if they pulled it... Now, keep in mind, they did get acquired by a new studio. They got purchased by the folks that were behind Dead by Daylight, I believe. And they did this developer thing where they were talking with their fans. And they said they just want us to do more Darkest Dungeon shit. So this might be a bit of that. So that's exciting because this is a gem of a fucking game. And I'm proud to say I did beat Darkest Dungeon 2. And I will be going back in to the dungeon when these things hit console. I have not deleted Darkest Dungeon 2 yet from my console, and I'm not going to. I love it so much. So that's an exciting...
Start over, huh?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do the Kingdoms thing. And I do want to try the Abomination shit, which is cool. He kind of turns into like a werewolf, like one of his special moves. He can like turn into like a beast form. He's like a guy who's been like werewolfified. He's kind of on edge. So he's kind of like a tank. He's kind of like a glass cannon, I would say. He's a badass for the party, but you got to have people shield blocking for him. So that out of the way. Last news point, just a quick conversation, Jake. There have been some rumors and news circulating that some video game studios and people are kind of hoping that this happens. But with the presupposed and notably announced release of 2025 for Grand Theft Auto 6, there's a lot of speculation what Rockstar and Take-Two are going to come out and sell this game for. And some studios, some people behind the curtains, people that want to have the increase in video games be normalized, the price, are really hoping that Rockstar come out of the gate with a $100 price tag for GTA 6. I don't know how I feel about it. I have mixed feelings about it. I think on one hand, I think that they could pull it off for sure. It takes forever for them to lower the price of their Grand Theft Auto games. They won't do it. So once they set a price, you're not going to get a discount on it for years. If you want it, you're going to have to pay that price to play their fucking game. That's plain and simple. That's how they've been with all their other games. You don't ever find discounts on them, especially right out of the gate. They know the product they have is coveted. They know the product they have people want. But there is going to be a point where they will price themselves out of the market. So the question is $100 too high? Is it unreasonable? And if they do come out of the gates at $100, what does that say for the rest of the studios and developers? Dude, if they can successfully sell GTA 6 for $100 and sell just as many copies as they wouldn't have to sell just as many, to be clear. They would just have to sell enough to get to the profit margin they're looking at making and selling it at $60 or $70. So they could sell fewer games to still hit their goal and then have this ripple effect in the industry. Or maybe they make even more. Maybe the $100 doesn't dissuade a single person. And they get grandma's money, and they get mom's money, or they get dad's money, or they're people who are working really hard like us, and we're just like, fuck it, I'm in. Like, I want to play this fucking game. Is there a line where somebody's like, I'm not paying $100 for that? I don't know. I would. I think I would pay $100 for it.
I don't know. I don't think... The thing is that I don't understand this conversation because... Just because Grand Theft Auto could get away with charging $100 doesn't mean anybody else could.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying.
And so, like, yeah, I get why studios and publishers want Grand Theft Auto to do it because it would allow them to pull the trigger on raising the price of their games. And I think as gamers, we need to be prepared for that eventuality. But... First of all, Grand Theft Auto doesn't need to do this.
No,
they're going to make a gazillion bajillion dollars, even at $70.
And arguably, they're going to make more at a lower price point than $100.
They possibly might, but I would argue that it probably wouldn't hurt their sales that much if it was $100.
I know. I
think more likely if they're increasing their price, it's going to be like $80 or something like that. Like I have a hard time believing they're going to jump straight to $100. That's kind of crazy. But if anyone could do it, it's them. And I don't think that just because they did it, anyone else can do it. Like if they released Grand Theft Auto 6 at $100 and Grand Theft Auto 6 sells 50 million copies in the first year, then that doesn't mean
you better have stock in Take-Two is what I'm saying.
That doesn't mean that Intergalactic, the Heretic Profit, is going to come out at $100.
No, it doesn't mean that at all.
Because if it does, no one's going to fucking buy it. I can tell you that right now.
Right.
So, we're talking about...
The biggest gaming event ever.
Yeah.
So here's the equation I want to draw. Can they do it is one question, and should they do it is another question. Of course they can do this. And of course they're going to sell a lot. And of course they're going to make fucking gangbusters money either way. Should they do it? Well, let's ask ourselves, let's draw a parallel here. Should companies that sell medicine for diabetes in America charge $500 for a prescription because they can? Or should they just charge something that's reasonable for everybody and not try to gouge people? So the question I have is like, what are the optics? If Rockstar swings their big dick around, excuse my language, and they come out and they sell this for $100, now that this conversation has been started, maybe they weren't even sure what they were going to sell it for, and now they're looking at all these conversations. People are like, I'd fucking buy it. I'd fucking buy it. I think they should. They should do this. The video game industries do it, please. That way we can... Do you really want them to do this? Like you said, the price increase is inevitable, but this is a little much. This is a little predatory, I think, in a way.
The thing is that I don't think like I think that you have a point in that Rockstar probably doesn't need to increase the price or increase the price very much.
They've got so much money.
I can understand why other studios and publishers want to, because of something like, let's say, Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, just because I brought it up earlier. That game's probably going to cost $300 million to make.
Yeah.
And Sony, if they're going to break even on that game, have to sell millions of copies.
Dude, there's a delicate dance you got to figure out.
That's a huge risk.
Yeah.
So you can understand, like, I know people are really quick to just dismiss this and say it's predatory, but it's like, dude, if you want these companies to take the risk on making these big AAA games for you, they have to be willing to, they have to be able to know that, like, I don't have to sell 10 million copies of this game to make any money on it.
Right. Well, I experienced it on such a small level with music, dude. Like, but,
Sure.
But, like, the thing of it is, and I think you understood my point, is it, like, because you led with this, Rockstar doesn't need... They're loaded with... They're still making gangbusters money on GTA 5. They don't... As far as I'm aware, they don't have a financial... I mean, they could literally release this game and sell 10 copies and still be probably fine. Like, they've made so much fucking money. But I know they have a big team, and I know they have expenses, and I know they're dumping a lot into promotion and stuff, although we've only seen one trailer. I'm just thinking, like... And I do use the predatory term... not loosely, but I think that, like, for a company like them to go back, it's like charging like $1,000 for Windows. It's like, this is ridiculous. Like, you're offering something that we can't get anywhere else on our PCs. Well, arguably there's Linux and these other, I know, but you're offering this thing that you know schools are going to buy it, the license. You know that businesses are going to buy the license from you. It's already fucking sold. This game is already bought and paid for. Do you have to sell it for $100? It seems a little egregious. They're not even saying they're gonna, but this is the conversation. So I just think that, like, and I'm with you, Jake, you have to dance the dance as a studio, and these games are risks. GTA 6 is not a fucking risk. It's not a risk. This game is clearly not a risk. It's gonna make so much money that it's gonna be probably the most profit that any media has ever made. Movies, games, consoles. Dude, this thing's gonna make so much fucking money, it's not even funny. It's not even funny. Like, I'm telling you, it's going to make fucking crazy money. You sell it for $70, you sell it for $60, you sell it for $80. I can't stress enough how much fucking money this game's going to turn out. They put the trailer out for this game, and one day it had, like, over 100 million views or some shit. It was I don't know if it was 100 million. It was a fuck ton of views in the first time. It was unbelievable, the interest in this game. That's all I'm saying. I digress. They don't need to charge $100. They don't have to charge. They don't have to charge fucking $70. They can sell this thing for $59.99 and come out with money to wipe their asses with. So that's all I'm saying. Jake, back to you.
No, I think we've pretty much covered it. I don't know that they need. Rockstar is simultaneously the company that could do this and also doesn't need to.
Right.
And I think that it will show some restraint for them to not do it, and I don't think that they will, just because why take the optical hit? Unless, like, they're concerned the game might be a little bit fucked up, then maybe they charge a little bit more out the gate to try and just capitalize a little bit, but, like, I don't know. I think that it'll be fine. I think people just need to chill out. It'll probably be, but just get ready. I mean, you're going to be paying $80 for games here soon. You're going to be paying $80 for games here soon. So don't expect anything else. But this could, you have to like it. I'm just saying it's going to be the reality.
This could be it. This could be the point where in 10, 15 years we look back and be like, well, that's the day that it was all but confirmed, is when GTA comes out and it's $100 or $89.99 or $79.99. We could be looking back at this point in history and being like, and that's how I met your mother. You know what I mean? Like, that, it'll be that moment where, like, everything fucking changed. There's a rift in the time-space continuum, and this is where now the new normal starts for the price of games. They have the power to do it, and I understand the want of some of these studios to want them to do this, but it's a double-edged sword for gaming altogether. But I think it's an interesting topic. But with that, I've got nothing left for the news, and we are an hour and 24 minutes into our show. This has been episode 362. P.S. This is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope to listen to ourselves, and you listen to ourselves next week. We are every Wednesday for free on YouTube and on your preferred streaming platform, and we also have that Patreon, patreon.com/PS. This is awesome. Give us 25 cents a week or $1 a month, and you can get the episodes hopefully about a day early and show us a little bit of love. So, Jake, do you have anything to say before we sign out for the day?
Nope. I am getting ready to go make dinner or eat dinner, and I'm super pumped about that. Otherwise, I don't know. Fucking play some games or something.
Hell yeah. Sounds good. All right, guys. Have a good day, and we'll see you next week. Like Sly Cooper, Stalker, and Sable. P.S.
P.S.
This is awesome.
This is awesome.